Hi, today's video is about the super vintage, super multi-coated Takumar 35mm f2. It's a vintage lens that was first made in the early 60s, around 1963, right through to the 70s. The example I'm going to be using today is from the early 70s, probably about 71, 72, something like that. They're very fun to use. They definitely have a very vintage look to them. The haloation you get with these lenses, it gives it a very dreamy kind of look. In fact, a lot of people are going for that look now. At the time, it wasn't really desired, but this gives you the real thing. I've actually seen a lot of adverts lately try and get this kind of look, a kind of vintage 60s kind of 70s kind of look from lenses. Though if you do stop it down to f4, f5.6, even down to around f8 to f16, it does get rid of some of that haloation and you do get a much cleaner look from this lens. Though like many people, I like the vintage look you get with it. Some people say it's that mythical 3D pop look. Whether it does or not, I'll let you be the judge. Some of these Takumar lenses were made with radioactive elements made from thorium. Though it's not really dangerous unless you eat it, the radioactivity made from thorium was supposed to enhance the lenses. To be honest, I'm not sure if my example here was radioactive or not. Well, I know it's a very good lens, so I want to do a review about it. So this one I don't think is. If you look at the lens here, it's a very clean example, which I was lucky to get hold of. I actually have a 58mm version, the 58 f1.8, which is an auto Takumar, which is an earlier version. If you can see here, it is actually slightly yellowed. You can see when I reflect the light there. And I'll give some better examples of that in a minute. These are both great lenses, and of course you've got the very popular 50mm f1.4 version. Really, when you think this cost me under £100 UK, you get a lovely look, and you don't get many lenses brand new for that kind of price. Sure, it's a manual lens, but it's a vintage lens and you get the lovely vintage look for not much money. You just have to be willing to manually focus. To be honest, I prefer manually focusing lenses a lot of the time anyway. I find it a lot more fun. You do get some vignetting on this as well if it is wide open. If you stop it down again to about f5.6, that totally clears the vignetting. So it depends what you want. If you want it wide open and dreamy, then f2. If you want it nice and sharp, f5.6, even f4. But I actually really like the haloation for a dreamy look. Sometimes it does get a bit overbearing, especially with street lights or Christmas lights, something like that. You can see in this, where I took it around December, you can see the lights on top of the pop-up food stalls. You can see the lights on top. You can see how the haloation almost makes it really blurry on top. But if that's the look you're looking for, this is very good for that. So this is a very, very well built lens. If I can put up to the camera there. It's very small. It's got a lovely feeling focus ring. It's very, very smooth. It's got very clicky stops, as you can hear here, and it goes from f2 to f16. I took a little bit of a punt on this one and got it from eBay. Luckily it came out very well. I didn't pay too much for it. These can fluctuate in price depending on the popularity at the time, but if you're interested in this lens and you look around for a good deal, I think it's well worth it. There's something really nice about using a manual focus lens. For video, it looks absolutely great. I really like the look of it. As this is an M42 mount, you will need an adapter to put it onto your camera. So this is an adapter from M42 to E mount, and you literally then put it straight on your camera. You will not have any electronic connectors, so you will not be able to use autofocus, obviously, but I wouldn't expect that from a lens from 1971. With tools on your camera, such as focus peaking, you'll be able to get your focus. Obviously, it's going to be a bit sharper if you stop it down to around f4, but if you want that nice, open, dreamy look, around f2, it's not as sharp, but it does look very nice, as you can see in the examples I've put on this video. So at the moment I've got a Samyang VAF T1.9 on my camera. I'm going to swap that to the Takumar lens. They're both 35mm. This is going to be f2. So check out all the lights behind me. Check out how, I know it's limited, but how the bokeh looks. And you'll get an idea of how this looks really, and how sharp it is as well. So I'm going to put it on now, and let's have a look. 1 second. So this is now with the super multi-coated Takumar 35mm f2 on the camera. It's a manual focus lens, so if I go back, I will go out of focus slightly. Sorry, I was just looking at the screen for the focus peaking. And I do have the monitor slightly underneath as well. It looks like it's in focus, the peaking looks correct. Sometimes that can be slightly off, I have found, but this will give you an idea of the look. So I'm going to do a split screen between a more modern lens, the one I had on before, 1.8 or T1.9 Samyang lens, next to this, a vintage 35mm T2. So you get an idea of the look, maybe some of the halation in the background. You'll also get an idea of the colours and everything else and the difference between the two lenses. Don't take it as a scientific test, it's just an idea to look at that difference between the two. I like using it as a walk around lens when I'm doing street photography or street videography, which is another thing I really enjoy. Hopefully it's got some of that mythical 3D pop that people talk about a lot. Personally, I'm not going to say whether it has or not, I'll let you decide, but you can see for yourself whether you think I pop from the background or it's very flat. That's your choice. It's a very well built lens, very fun to use. It works well on both full frame and APS-C. You do get some vignetting, but if you stop it down, that will get rid of that. If you want the look of a vintage lens with vignetting, then you've got it. Though it is much more softer at f2, it does give you a dreamy look. And if you want it sharper, stop it down. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions about the lens, leave them in the comments below. And I hope to see you again in my next video. Thank you. Bye bye.